In this video, we're diving into the heartbreaking case that not only stunned Hollywood, but also raised urgent questions about stalking, domestic violence, and the justice system. How could a woman so full of light and brilliance meet such a brutal end in the comfort of her own home? This is the tragic story of Dr. Amy Horrock, a woman who lived fearlessly, loved deeply, and died far too soon. She was more than just a pretty face. Amy Horrock had been a Playboy cover model, but she was also a woman of intellect, holding a PhD in psychology from the University of California, Berkeley. In the shimmering world of Hollywood, Amy stood out, not for scandal or drama, but for her genuine kindness, intellectual depth, and unwavering presence. A licensed therapist, a published author, and a vibrant speaker, Amy's energy lit up television sets, podcast studios, and everyone's life she touched. Her life was a bold fusion of art, intellect, and passion. From eating fire in a circus to guiding couples through trauma and healing, Amy embraced life with fearless enthusiasm. But on Valentine's Day 2020, that bright light was extinguished in the most horrific way. Amy Horrock was murdered in her own home. How did someone so full of life fall victim to such darkness? Who could have wanted to harm her? And how did a woman who had helped so many not get the protection that she needed? Let's walk through her life and legacy to understand what really happened. Amy Horrock was born on May 20th, 1981, in the small town of Sursville, Pennsylvania, a place as serene as her smile. She was adopted at a young age by Tom and Penny Horrock, and though little is known about her biological parents, Amy always had a sense of identity, rooted in love and belonging. She grew up with her younger brothers, Chris, in what friends described as a joyful and wholesome home. Her high school years were filled with adventure, creativity, and ambition. After graduating in 1999, Amy married a local singer in Pennsylvania, but the marriage quickly dissolved. By 2001, she had packed her bags, left everything behind, and moved to Los Angeles to start over. In the City of Angels, Amy didn't just reinvent herself, she blossomed. She pursued higher education with relentless drive, attending California State Polytechnic University, Pomona, for her undergraduate studies, followed by a master's degree in clinical psychology from Pepperdine University, and then earning her doctorate from UC Berkeley. Juggling the high cost of private education, Amy supported herself through unconventional means, posing for Playboy, dancing, and modeling. She was a stunning contradiction to Hollywood stereotypes. Brilliant, compassionate, driven, and unapologetically bold. When Amy finally earned her license as a marriage and family therapist, she shattered every misconception about what a former model could be. She became a respected voice in Hollywood, often called on to appear in media to share her unique insights on relationships, sexuality, and trauma. She specialized in helping people work through their pain, especially around love, intimacy, and emotional wounds. Amy often said that most relationship problems stem not from sex itself, but from untreated depression, stress, and past trauma. Her mission was clear: help people heal from the inside out. Amy built a strong online presence, including her own YouTube channel, where she hosted thoughtful discussions on topics like mental health, gender identity, sexual exploitation, and bipolar disorder. In 2014, she authored the New Sex Bible for Women, a powerful guide that emphasized confidence, self-awareness, and emotional well-being in intimate relationships. Building confidence is the first step to becoming a more attractive partner. The more confident you are, the less fear you carry, she once said. Amy didn't just preach empowerment, she lived it. She was open about her rebellious teenage years, proudly reflecting on the time she wore ripped fishnets, oversized band tees, and leopard print skirts. Every phase of her life was a chapter in learning, growing, and transforming. To pay her way through school, Amy wore many hats. She worked as a personal trainer, released a rock-themed workout DVD, and even performed as a fire eater in local circuses. I think I was going to graduate school at the time. I ate fire, worked fairs, and I think I was even a clown. Twice, she joked in one interview. She served drinks as a barmaid, though she didn't drink herself, and described it as the best place to meet people from every walk of life. Amy's life wasn't easy, but she made it vibrant, thrilling, and full of purpose. With her knowledge, passion, and unusual journey, Amy gained a loyal following. Clients praised her not only as a skilled therapist, but also as someone with a rare ability to make people feel seen and heard. One said Dr. Amy was truly compassionate and loving. She had this magical way of making therapy feel like talking to an old friend. Her feminist advocacy was equally profound. She started an online community in LA for women to support each other professionally and emotionally. She also worked with nonprofits that help marginalized groups, including sex workers, recognizing the deep emotional scars so many of them carried. She made it her mission to connect them with professional mental health resources without stigma. Beyond her professional achievements, Amy was a creative spirit. She loved photography and often took pictures that friends said rivaled the work of professionals. She had an eye for capturing raw beauty, both in people and in life. Inevitably, the question arose, what kind of man could match Amy Harick's depth? For a while, that man seemed to be Drew Carey, the beloved comedian and host of The Price is Right. The two met at a party in the summer of 2017, and Drew was instantly captivated by Amy's energy, wit, and charisma. Despite their 23-year age difference, they bonded over intellectual curiosity, long conversations, and a love for photography. They fell hard and fast, getting engaged just 6 months later. On Valentine's Day 2018, Amy even joined Drew on the set of his show. Here's your host, Drew Carey, and now please welcome my beautiful fiancée, Amy Harick, he announced, beaming. But by the end of that year, their whirlwind romance ended. Amy later admitted the breakup broke her heart. Still, the two remained friends, and Drew never stopped caring for her. Life went on, and Amy focused on her work and her circle of close friends. On the evening of February 13, 2020, the night before Valentine's Day, she texted Drew. He was dating someone else by then, but later confessed that he always hoped they'd find their way back to each other. On Valentine's Day 2020, Amy spent the morning with a dear friend. She picked out a red button-up romper and stood in her sunlit bedroom, filled with soft light and thoughtful details. It's Valentine's Day today, she said with a smile. During their hike through the winding Hollywood Hills, she spoke passionately about history, art, and the community she loved. She sounded happy, truly content with the life she had built. Afterward, they grabbed breakfast at a local cafe, her energy vibrant and alive. Later that night, Amy attended a Valentine's Day party thrown by her close friend Cleopatra. It was held at the Universal Theater and had a quirky twist. Everyone had to get up and perform a silly act or party trick. Cleopatra recalled the room buzzing with laughter and joy. Amy arrived right on time, dressed in a soft pink satin dress, white purse, and leather jacket. She mingled with friends, single and coupled alike, exuding her usual grace, humor, and warmth. No one could have imagined that it would be her last night alive. She wore striking accessories that evening, an elegant rosary necklace, thigh-high black boots, and the kind of confidence that made her glow in every photograph taken that night. The group captured the moment with laughter and joy, snapping pictures that would later become haunting memories. After the main event, Amy's close friend Cleopatra invited her to an after-party at her home, but Amy kindly declined. She didn't drink much, and the atmosphere didn't appeal to her. Instead, she went to a quiet tea bar with a small group of friends, where they stayed deep in conversation well past midnight. At exactly 12:18 a.m., they finally wrapped up their night. Amy returned to her 3-story home around 1 a.m. on February 15, 2020. The first floor was rented out to a man named Michael Herman, while Amy lived on the second and third floors. That night, Michael had already gone to bed. Sometime after drifting off, he was jolted awake by a loud crash, something like dishes or glass shattering. Assuming Amy had just returned home, he didn't think much of it. Tragically, he had no idea that this noise was the beginning of a nightmare that would unfold just above his head. Meanwhile, Amy had exchanged a few final messages. At 10:02 a.m., a friend from the party texted her about the photos they had taken together. Amy also replied to her best friend Robert's message about upcoming plans. She then climbed to her bedroom on the 3rd floor, most likely preparing for bed, completely unaware of the terror that had already infiltrated her sanctuary. Suddenly, Michael was startled again, this time by a bone-chilling scream. It sounded muffled, like someone's mouth was being covered to silence their cries. He then heard what seemed like a heavy thud from the floor above. Alarmed, he shouted up the stairs, hoping to scare away whoever might be there. But panic quickly replaced courage. Michael ran outside to get help, but got trapped in the garden's gated enclosure. In a frantic attempt to escape, he injured himself climbing over the tall metal fence. He raced to a neighbor's door and pounded for help. No answer. He called another nearby resident. Still no reply. Finally, he spotted a passerby holding a phone. Desperate, he borrowed it and called 911 at exactly 1:14 a.m. "I heard her," he told the dispatcher, breathless and terrified. "I heard her screaming. I heard her being attacked." At 1:25 a.m., 11 minutes later, police arrived. They found Michael disheveled and visibly shaken, pacing the street. He explained that he heard violent screams from the upstairs unit, but didn't have his phone to call for help until he found someone. When police made it to Amy's third-floor bedroom, she was gone. Her belongings were scattered in disarray, and blood spatter marked the walls and floor. The deck door was wide open, yet no sign of Amy. She had already plunged from the balcony in a desperate, horrific struggle for her life. No security camera had caught the moment. Moments later, officers found her. Amy was lying on the ground, gravely injured from the fall. Paramedics rushed her to the hospital, loading her into the ambulance by 2:05 a.m. As this was happening, a friend, unaware of the unfolding tragedy, sent her photos from the Valentine's party. Those final glimpses of joy would become the last images Amy ever received. She died at 3:26 a.m. She was only 38 years old. Evidence of forced entry soon surfaced. DNA from under Amy's toenails and on the bedroom door indicated a struggle. Her rosary necklace, once worn proudly as a symbol of faith and style, was now blood-stained and torn apart in the room, possibly used as a weapon to choke her. A syringe was also found on the floor, disturbing investigators since Amy didn't drink, smoke, or use drugs. That syringe, they believed, belonged to her killer. As dawn broke over Los Angeles on February 16th, just hours after Valentine's Day, the tragic news of Amy Horrock's death began to spread. Detectives launched an intense investigation. Among the first they spoke to was her best friend Robert, who was in disbelief. Just hours before her death, Amy had confirmed with him the details of a professional trip to the UK. By the time he got the news, it was already making headlines. One of the first to publicly grieve was Drew Carey. The comedian posted a picture of the two of them at Christmas and wrote, "I hope you're lucky enough to have someone in your life who loves you the way she loved me." The coroner's report was devastating. Amy had been strangled until she lost consciousness, then thrown from the balcony while still alive. Her body bore signs of blunt force trauma, and the syringe contained lethal levels of nicotine. Soon, police zeroed in on a name, Gareth Pursehouse. Several of Amy's friends mentioned him immediately. Amy had been terrified of him. To understand who Gareth Pursehouse was, we have to go back to 2010 when he and Amy first met at a dance show. Gareth, a tall and imposing 6'4" IT specialist with a passion for photography and failed dreams of being a stand-up comedian, initially seemed like a fun and charming partner. But behind the surface, something was off. Friends sensed it early. His idol was serial killer Ted Bundy. Soon, Gareth's true nature surfaced. He became controlling, physically violent, and emotionally abusive. He isolated Amy from friends, hit her on multiple occasions, and frequently choked her. Though he often apologized, the damage was undeniable. Amy, with her expertise in mental health, recognized the toxic dynamic. She tried to mend things, but ultimately ended the relationship. Yet Gareth refused to let go. He would show up unexpectedly, ask mutual friends about her, and demand recent photos. His obsession spiraled into stalking. Amy filed for 2 restraining orders against him in 2011 and 2012, detailing violent attacks that included being thrown, choked, and punched. It took years of therapy and support for Amy to feel safe again. Though she moved on and rebuilt her life, Gareth never did. Online harassment began appearing. Nasty gossip posts targeting Amy with intimate details. Friends believed Gareth was behind them. He had already sent threatening emails and letters to her inner circle. Amy grew paranoid. She told Robert that someone had once broken into her house, stolen photo albums, and wiped files from her computer. She believed it was Gareth, skilled in IT, who planted malicious content and shared explicit images with potential employers, sabotaging her work opportunities. Her home had no security system at the time. The fear was real. She even asked a colleague to stay in her house during a trip, worried someone would hurt her cat. Then on January 16, 2020, after nearly 8 years of no contact, Amy saw Gareth again. She had been invited to speak at a mental health awards event and walk the red carpet, only to find Gareth there, camera in hand. The restraining orders had long expired. In front of over 100 attendees, Gareth screamed at her, "You broke me!" Despite the scene, Amy stayed calm, like the therapist she was, trying to de-escalate the moment. Later, she even sat with him privately, talking for over 45 minutes. That night, they had dinner. Gareth asked if he could stay the night. Amy firmly declined. Still, the encounter unsettled her. She added another lock to her bedroom door, carried pepper spray, and even shared her phone location with Robert for safety. Yet, there were more troubling signs. 2 weeks before her death, Amy made a chilling request to her parents. She wrote out exactly what she wanted for her funeral: an open casket and a beautiful headstone. Her family was disturbed. Had she sensed something was coming? Surveillance footage confirmed much of what police suspected. Gareth had broken in on Valentine's Day and waited, hiding inside until Amy returned. Michael, her downstairs tenant, heard the crash when Gareth entered. Hours later, when Amy arrived, Gareth launched a brutal surprise attack. He choked her, muffled her screams, and threw her from the third-story balcony. Gareth Pursehouse was arrested later that day, February 15th, at 4:45 p.m. Officers noticed visible bruises on his body, evidence of Amy fighting for her life. Police also found an identical syringe in his home, matching the one found at the scene, same brand, same chemical makeup. Initially, Gareth was released on a $2 million bail, but fearing he might flee, authorities rearrested him within 24 hours. He was charged with first-degree murder and burglary. He pleaded not guilty. Then more details surfaced. Abuse seemed to run in his family. Gareth's late father, Paul, also had a restraining order filed against him by a former fiancé for repeated harassment. The Pursehouse men had disturbing parallels. Though the evidence against Gareth was overwhelming, the trial was delayed several times due to the COVID-19 pandemic. It finally began on August 29, 2023, in Los Angeles Superior Court. Gareth appeared physically changed. He had gained weight during incarceration and looked very different. Prosecutors presented a compelling case: DNA under Amy's nails and on the doorknob, testimony from friends, the stalker behavior at the awards show, and Gareth's obsession all pointed to a clear motive. He killed Amy out of a twisted form of passion. The defense argued Gareth had only wanted to talk and had a breakdown. They even suggested Amy may have attacked him or fallen accidentally while trying to escape. But forensic experts debunked those claims. Amy had no abrasions or marks consistent with climbing over a balcony. Her injuries clearly indicated a violent push. After nearly 8 hours of deliberation, the jury convicted Gareth Pursehouse. On December 6, 2023, he was sentenced to life in prison without the possibility of parole, the maximum penalty under California law today. Amy Horrock was a brilliant, accomplished woman, licensed, educated, experienced in psychology. If she could fall victim to such horror, what does that say about protection for women everywhere? Law enforcement data in the U.S. reveals a harrowing fact. 34% of victims killed by intimate partners were living alone at the time. Most were women. Amy's legacy lives on. Her friends launched a petition for Amy's Law, a bill aimed at improving the effectiveness of restraining orders, specifically removing expiration dates and allowing protection to last as long as necessary. This story is not just tragic, it's enraging. A woman like Amy, full of life, light, and love deserve safety. Her friends and family endured a Valentine's Day they will never forget. So what really went wrong? Was it Gareth's obsession with Amy's strength, beauty, and compassion? Did Amy, like so many survivors, misjudge the danger, trying to make peace instead of calling police? Could her life have been saved if someone had done more? Thank you for watching. If this story moved you, please like, subscribe, and turn on notifications for more true crime stories that need to be heard. Share your thoughts below. And most importantly, stay aware, stay safe, and never stay silent.